Yeah, we're definitely good on Instagram.
Just getting Facebook and YouTube's TikTok up and running.
There we go. We're talking. I'll find a new.
I think
platform.
TikTok's gonna pull through.
All right, we're good.
Yeah. All right. I think we're up and running on all platforms. So welcome to the 15th?
Yep.
Yeah. 15th annual or 15th
15th annual. Wow. Well, it is
15th
This is my
Monday
15th annual here.
weekly. That's true. Nate
Couple-
has been
couple
hitting
weeks.
at the company for 15 years. We should have a party. Oh no, we can't. Yeah. Now, welcome to the 15th live chat, quarantine edition, and thank you for joining us. We are here to answer all your 034 related questions as well as automotive questions. Happy to chat about just about anything. So don't hesitate to ask any question, and we will be happy to address it. Also happy to address if you want to talk about how much you love us, that's great. We'd love to talk about that. Or if you're upset about something, we could talk about that too. So we're an open book, and
Yeah, someone's already learned a TikTok dance, and they're asking about the throttle body now. So
oh yeah. Well, stick with the TikTok until the product is released. I think that's the key right there. So as always, send in your questions. If you need some clarification, feel free to ask. This is all about learning and getting information out there. So there's no dumb question. Ask away. Even if you'd like us to weigh in on age-old controversial car questions.
yeah, to be as generic as you can imagine.
Happy to address
Cars
it.
are cars for the most part. It applies all across the board.
Yeah, we love to kind of cut through the bullshit. So happy to give our take on anything like that. All right, well, let's get started. There's some questions coming in.
Hold on, I was waiting for this. When's the two-step coming out for the B8?
Oh yeah, we might as well get that right out.
Yeah, let's just knock that one out. I am really working on it. I was hoping to have it out last week. Lots of scheduling things came up, and
supporting
supporting
our customers.
supporting our current customers. So try not to leave everybody by the wayside just to get a new feature out. So
but it's getting worked on.
It's right there. There's a couple of tweaks. We have a couple of guys testing it. One guy was seeing a little more upswing on the V8.5 platform. So basically, he let off the brake to go. He's getting a little more upswing, and we're playing with that right now, just to see if it's in the tune or if it's something we can better control. So the issue is it's our current launch strategy is really good. So
trying to make it.
We're trying to make it better than that. So it's a tough one to beat for the manual guys. They're loving it. They're eating it up.
Yeah,
it's working really well there. So we're gonna have to determine when good enough and get it out there.
Yeah, we just as much as you guys want it, it just doesn't benefit us or you to get it out just a week or two sooner and not make it as good as it can be.
Yeah.
So we don't mind waiting a little longer to release the right product. We just don't want to rush it, and then the disappointment is there's that saying, the disappointments of failure last longer than I actually can't remember what the saying is, but basically
it sounds terrible, whatever it is.
Getting the right thing the first time is much better than getting the wrong thing and then being disappointed by it for years to come.
Yeah,
so.
And it's just the amount of work that goes into then getting it out to you guys. It's a lot of work to do it again if we need to. So
yes,
we want to do it right.
Yeah. So
thank you for your patience. As right as we can.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys' support and patience. But the wait and the delays are for a reason.
Yep.
To help you. So
Oleg is asking, is two-step ECU tune or just TCU? It is just ECU. The TCU is kind of along for the ride on that one. So that's entirely within the ECU, and it detects if it's on a DSG or a manual, detects if there's a test pipe or a normal file, and it's all within the ECU programming.
Yeah, but it's an engine tuning strategy to hold the engine's RPM at a certain point by dropping spark events.
Spark and load and timing, all the good stuff. So.
Yeah. Who is our favorite distributor? Asking for a friend.
Well, Let me see.
I don't think we can.
Who asked that.
I don't think we can pick just one. We love all our distributors.
I like the 5-cylinder distributors. I mean, they were the spark jump.
Yeah,
you
the
had to play
3B
with-
distributor
you had
was
to play with the rotor
problematic.
a little bit.
Yeah,
but-
and there was some shaft bending issues.
yeah.
But no, we love anyone that will distribute and support our distribute our products and support customers. And certainly USP Motorsport does that very well. So actually, we're excited to be working with them on some exciting projects coming up. Something to do with a Golf R. So stay tuned for some excitement all around.
Yep.
All right. Next question. What torque limits are there on your DQ 250 MQB tune?
DQ 250 MQB. We kind of push those. We push them pretty high. They're outside of anything that you would normally hit. I want to, the top of my head, I want to say it's just pushed up to like 700 or 800 Newton meters just to clear. Well, yeah, it's not like you're going to hit that typically. It's to clear whatever ECU.
You should never hit the torque limit unless something's wrong.
Yeah. So
It's a safety
what we do is we try and remove that cap to allow for the broadest amount of ECU tuning as possible, and the clutch pressures and whatnot will work up to a good portion of that. Before it has to get into some bigger custom tuning.
Yeah, it's safe to say power is not being limited because of it.
That's the whole thing. Yeah. Depending on what tune you've got, some put out different torque numbers than others. So it's more just to cover all our bases, and it does still pull back torque if things are getting too hot and out of control. So it will go into clutch protection measures and whatnot. So
sure, all the safety features are
still there.
Yeah,
but it's not
like as
it's there in a safer way than OEM, in that it's not going to completely shut down the car, which some will.
Yeah.
Some of the OEM stuff,
it's very disruptive.
Especially early on, they would have temperature sensor faults in the DSG units, and it would put you into this severe limp that could actually leave you like stuck in the middle of an intersection.
I know.
It was pretty sketchy.
I think it happened to me once.
Yep.
B9 S5 tune. Yes, there will be one coming. Not yet.
Yep.
We are wrapping up development on B8, B8.5 currently. And our goal is soon to put our full engineering effort behind B9, MG1, which would include the S5 and the RS5.
Yeah, there's
the S4.
Yeah, so the S4 and the S5 are basically identical. And the RS4, RS5 are their own thing. So
but they would be part of that effort. And don't want to say too much, but we have some very exciting developments in our tuning engineering department where we're bringing on some more resources. And it's not an easy thing to do in this industry. There's
hopefully lots more things will be happening a lot.
Finding good qualified candidates who can jump in and do ECU calibration tuning. They're not a commodity by any means.
Doing it in the aftermarket world where it's with,
if you want.
Technical difficulties with tuning is
always
so Nick,
tuning.
Nick asks where should they reach out if you're having problems or technical issues with tuning? Tuning at our email at tuning@034motorsport.com is always the best line of defense there.
Tuning at any kind of support that you need for tuning at 034motorsport.com.
Yep.
So yes, B9 tuning is coming. We don't have a date. We don't have an estimated delivery time, but certainly I'd love to think that we could have something out in the next 6 to 12 months. That again would set a new standard for power, performance, and drivability, smoothness. That's always going to be our goal. Is it possible to do the B8.5 S4 TCU tune like the C8, where when you pull both paddles it goes to neutral?
I'm going to guess 100% no. I haven't actually looked into that, but there are issues. The paddles and the signals on the wheel actually have to be very specifically set up to allow that. I know for certain, like the cruise control stroke, we've been doing a bunch of programming with that. If you try and do 2 actions at once, you get no actions. It's just, it won't send the CAN data because it figures it's an implausible signal. So I'm almost positive it's the same way on most all the Volkswagen Audi stuff, where if you pull both paddles, it's a error state, and it's not going to send that either paddle signal to the ECU.
I mean, we don't currently have plans to do that.
There's no.
That sounds like a cool feature, but
that's going to be.
It doesn't really add much to the driving experience or the performance of the car, so not likely something we'll pursue. When it would be nice to have, obviously, but When will you offer a full B9 turbo kit upgrade?
It's all
Yeah.
We got to get the stage 1, stage 2 stuff
What-
pounded out.
Once we perfect stage 1, stage 2, and any variants of those, then we will look into stage 3 type kits. There's definitely some good turbo hardware on the market, some upgrades. So the good news is I think the turbos are out there, and the tuning won't be too difficult to do. And some of the stuff I've seen some other people doing is showing some promise. So again, no dates, but definitely something we'll do. Density mounts with GLI, are they good for big turbo power? Can they hold 500?
So this is one area where people always kind of throw numbers around. The more important thing is how much torque you're making and where you're making it and how you're making it. Horsepower, you can make 500 horsepower at 8,000 RPM, and you're dealing with stock torque levels. So that's a tricky one to quantify.
Horsepower is easy because horsepower is a combination of torque and the speed of the engine. It includes RPM.
Yeah.
But torque is
its own thing.
That's the amount of twist, regardless of RPM, and that's what breaks things. But
to answer your question,
let's say a 500 horsepower GLI is probably going to be making 400 foot-pounds of torque or something like that. Yeah. And yes, our density mounts will hold that power. The thing our density mounts won't do is they're not necessarily a lot stronger than factory mounts. So
because I mean we're using factory casings and factory
the castings and the overall architecture of the mounts is not any different. It's just there's stiffer rubber.
Yeah. So if we're talking like full drag radials and really
so if you want to do launches and really like hard clutch drops and things like that, then they're not designed for that, even though they'll hold it to a certain amount.
They'll put up with a lot.
Extent.
Yeah.
But if you want something that holds at that power and torque level, definitely check out our motorsport mounts. And we have them for that car. We should. And GLIs are kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I believe we have it. And we now have street sport and track sport in all of our motorsport mounts. So that means you can get the softer mounts in the billet aluminum casting housings.
Yeah. And those castings are engineered with 8 to 10 millimeters in the minimal spots around the attachment points. Yeah. So they're way stronger.
All the motorsport mounts have a lifetime warranty. They're virtually indestructible. I don't care if you have 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. They'll hold it.
Other things are going to be having problems.
Yeah. Everything else will break. So, but our density mounts are really designed for the street-driven car, and you're going to treat the car roughly the same way as a factory mount, but you're simply looking for better drivetrain control.
Yep.
They're not stronger. They perform better. Yeah. Is it normal for power to taper off briefly on your stage 1 tune on a B8.5 S4 around 5,000 RPM?
That really depends on, are you DSG, are you manual? Well, so no, it's not. You should,
no.
I mean, power on those cars pretty much carries all the way up to red line.
It should be a very linear build of power.
There are a number of other TCU tunes out there. I don't know if you're on ours or somebody else's, if that's even a factor, which I have seen, artificially cap the torque. Usually because their ECU tune doesn't either increase or properly map the torque output, so just never was a problem for that TCU tuner. I have seen that a couple of times, so that's something. But I mean, again, shoot an email to tuning at if we can set you up with some logging tools and figure out where it's coming from pretty quickly if it is an issue.
Yeah.
I've also had intake systems collapse on people. So if they're on stock,
I've seen that a lot over the years.
Or the filters got issues or anything like that, that can be a big limiter up top, or cats.
That's a good point. If
there's also mechanical
issues.
An
aftermarket intake and it has a floppy silicone tube or something, that could be collapsing.
Yep.
And that will limit power for sure.
Oh, looks like we are having some connection issues here.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry, we're having trouble playing your video. Yeah, we're having some bandwidth issues. Let me see here. Sorry, guys. I think we got some internet connections problems. I think we're back. Maybe. Well, we're chugging at about 6 frames per second right now on Facebook.
I might have to email contact at 034 Motorsport.
Yeah, I've got to set up some bandwidth allocation here too. Probably Mark doing all the SolidWorks things.
we probably have too many people TikToking
Yep.
here at 034 Motorsport. I think that'll definitely drag it down.
Yeah, USP Motorsports complaining about lag. Yeah, I know. We're working on it. We're watching it. There's not much I can do about it right now. It's a
I'm going to send a company email and tell everyone to turn off TikTok.
maybe. So let's see here.
Audio.
Yeah, no, I think we're okay. It's a little
Okay.
chunky.
Well, let's keep talking while Nate thrashes.
I can just watch it.
Yeah.
And
Next question: will the ZF8 tune eventually have launch control like the B8? Like the
the ZF8 will be getting more launch control. Increases in mappings. We're still pretty early on.
We're early in the ZF8 tuning. We have a beta, so if you're interested in getting our beta tune, we're selling it at a heavily discounted price, and we're still debugging it and making it function as well as it needs to. But we will be adding more features to that. Will you put EQ3?
So E3D basically done. I've got a number of us running it already. There's a couple of finance I'm working on right now. There's some cars that are having we're yeah, that kind of stuff. So the tune itself is solid.
Yeah.
There's just a couple little tweaks before we fully release it. So
okay.
Yep.
A couple test pipe questions. Test pipe and down point recommendations for the B8 S4. And then what test pipes are you guys running on the B8 in-house car? How daily drivable with test pipes and the ResX sound and drone wise? Well, I believe we're running JHM test pipes.
Yeah.
And I think they're pretty much the best option on the market right now that I know of. There's a lot of stuff on eBay. They can be tough to get due to not wanting to ship in California and stuff like that. But the JHM stuff is readily available, and that's what we're running on our in-house car.
Yeah, I mean,
as far as
with the ResX and the sound, yeah, test pipes in general, you're just gonna get a lot more of that sharp sound.
Yeah,
there's gonna be more rasp to it.
Yeah, the rasp is
no matter what
noticeable.
exhaust is on there.
So the factory cats do a much better job of dampening that rasp out.
Yep.
But we're toying with the idea of doing a high flow cat setup for the B8. So if that's something that interests you, let us know.
Yeah.
We generally prefer to run high flow cats.
Yes.
For racing and off road use
at all times.
Or when we're in Mexico. But yeah. And when they're done right, you don't really see any loss of power over a test pipe, and you certainly gain some of the emissions and sound benefits as well. So, how do you feel about the reliability of tuning a high mileage 2012 B8 S4, 94,000 miles? I would say I would have no reservations as long as it
depends on maintenance history.
It has basic maintenance and it checks out. If you want to have a compression and leak down test done on the motor, you can maybe check to see if you have any sludge in the valve train and the top of the motor.
Yep.
But 94,000 miles is nothing to be concerned about. Frankly, mileage doesn't concern me on these Volkswagen Audi motors, especially if they've been maintained well. You could trash a motor in 5,000 miles if you wanted to easily. But I think the real issue is has the car always had good oil in it? Has it always had good oil pressure? Sludging plugs up a lot of the passages and ports inside the motor. Honestly, has the car been driven hard regularly to burn off all the water in the oil? You want to get any engine up to temperature for long enough periods of time to boil out any moisture and water that accumulates in the oil.
Yep.
So every time you start I've talked about this before, but every time you start your motor,
session on this a while ago.
Water condenses inside the block and runs down into the oil pan. And if you just start your motor and drive 2 minutes and shut it off, if you do that for long enough, your entire motor will fill up with water. And so you definitely don't want to tune a motor like that. But 94,000 miles is nothing if it's been taken care of. It's nothing to be concerned about.
Yep.
Will there ever be a carbon fiber pipe for the B8.5 S5 intake versus the silicone intake pipe?
There
we haven't
used to be. We actually changed that up a bit.
We don't even have an intake yet.
Yeah.
But we're working.
Well,
on
we have
releasing
the
it,
throttle.
so.
We have the throttle body or the tube. We've had the silicon piece for a long time.
But our goal with this, we'll talk about this since we have this here. Our goal with the B8 intake, so this kind of sits in the car. The air filter sits here, and then we have a silicone hose that runs through here over to the throttle body. And then this is the front of the car where the fresh air comes in. Our goal with this intake is to make it affordable. And so we're targeting a price point where we can offer a premium quality intake. But that also kind of meets, not everyone's looking to spend a ton of money on a B8 intake these days.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of competition that's cheaper. So to do a full carbon fiber intake tube would just push the price of the intake higher than we'd like. So silicone is a great material for an intake hose like that. It's actually reinforced with stainless steel wire inside the silicone, as well as a nylon aramid fiber. So the hose will not expand or stretch, and it won't collapse either.
Yep.
And it's relatively cheap to do compared to a carbon fiber layup. So if there's kind of overwhelming demand for a carbon fiber tube, we could certainly do one. And maybe we could offer it as a separate option that people could buy. But we want to release the product and make it affordable, as well as incredibly high quality.
Yep.
So something that we don't want it to do, which we constantly see other B8 intakes do, is flop around. And so this shroud actually mounts on the bottom to the rubber mounts in the frame rail, which is a good idea because those hold it and eliminate the vibrations from the chassis. However, we've also implemented a really structural stainless steel strut, and that comes up from these two mounting points and attaches to the air filter. So the air filter is not attached to the shroud, and it's not just floating in the shroud like a lot of intakes are. The air filter is attached to the base of the mounting point. So really the shroud isn't doing anything structural. It's just directing air and insulating. And so when you grab this intake and shake it, it's not going to vibrate or move around. And that's important because a lot of these intakes, as they move around, it's like a saw, and it cuts through things that are nearby. So there's fuel lines and breather lines and things that run through this area that you don't want fraying or being cut into. So in addition, the finish of the intake, it's going to have this beautiful high gloss finish, and this is actually a two-part automotive clear coat, just like what you have on your car, that we paint that with. And then even the back is nicely finished. It's a relatively smooth surface finish, very high quality. A lot of intakes, they look good on the front. You flip them over, and it's rough and jagged, and sometimes there's little pieces of composite sticking out. So we inspect and QC all these to ensure that would never happen. And our policy is that they essentially look perfect at an arm's length. You start getting out a microscope, you're going to be able to find little blunt, imperfections. But anyways, so we are currently in production on this intake. We should be releasing it soon. I don't have a solid date, but that's definitely coming up. So. All right. Will you bump up the crackles back on the B8.5 soon? Still can't hear them while driving. Well, they're either too loud.
Yeah, it's always a balance. They might get a little. Yeah.
We need like a crackle knob.
No more knobs. I can. Yeah. Yeah.
$5,000.
Right. Sure, we'll probably look at bumping those up the next time
maybe we should do a poll or something, or I don't know, what is it that people want?
Yeah.
Can we do different files?
Yeah, I doing different files is a huge burden.
Is it? Yeah. Update on B9 A4 tuning. So it's actually pretty far along, and we have several people running it.
Yep.
Aram Moss
Yep.
runs it, and it tortures his poor manual transmission clutch with it constantly.
All the time.
We just need to spend some time finishing it up and getting it released. So that's part of once we finish B8 tuning, or
we've got a lot of stuff we're
kind of find an endpoint.
Close to, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we're not going to be done with.
No,
B8
we're not going to walk away from it.
But right now it's a heady focus.
Yeah.
And so we will put it on the shelf and focus on some other tunes.
Yep.
B8A4 is something that we're talking about. And one thing is we have to update our server to be able to flash B9A4s. That's honestly the main
that's pretty much
the tune's pretty much there. So it's just a matter. If you want to come to our facility, we can flash your car.
We'll get you set up here.
So if you're interested in driving to Fremont, California, we'd love to talk to you about putting a B9 tune on your car. And you can contact our service department to do that.
Yep.
Maybe a fun day trip or overnight trip or something if you want to get out of the house and drive down to the Bay Area or up to the Bay Area or sideways.
Over to or across to.
Would it ever be possible to tune on the fly without a laptop as far as a handheld tuner or tablet?
Well, I mean, tablet depends on your tablet.
Well, I would say no, but it could be possible to tune with a laptop.
Well, laptop, yeah, and then tablet. It depends on what tablet you're talking about.
If you have a tablet, that's
right now, you've got to run a Windows system to flash the setup. We do have some plans on where we're taking the cable, but at this time, no, it's got to be a Windows system.
Yeah, I mean, developing a kind of Diablo sport tuner thing,
for a full handheld, it's a whole bunch more hardware that we've got to put into it.
There's no way that we we would be able to justify doing that. And there's a matter of optimizing, and frankly, on any of our B8 tunes, expecting to do a lot more with it, you're probably just going to make it worse. So.
As far as
being able to mess with
tweak it, I think that's a separate thing. But
they're very, very far along.
Yeah, as far as actually loading the tunes and whatnot, right now we're going to keep it on the laptop. We've got to put all our development efforts somewhere, and the flashing is good where it is. We're always working on it, but that's a big shift to push that to new platforms.
Someone's asking, why did you stop selling the Brembo RS3 brake caliper upgrade? Well, we didn't just stop selling that. We ended up removing Brembo products from our website, unfortunately, because we basically just got one fraudulent order after the other.
They were a huge target for fraud.
And I think in the first year, we looked back and we had gotten 20 orders for Brembo brake kits, and only one of them was a real customer.
It was a ridiculous amount of.
So they're great products. The Brembo RS3 upgrade kit we run on our in-house car. It's a great product. And if you really want something from Brembo, we still sell it through our service department.
Yep.
It's just an issue with,
we still have a great relationship with Brembo.
Online fraud. And we're not really set up to be an e-commerce shop, as far as we're not an ECS or a USP or anything like that. Or a Euro tuning. So it's just not our specialty. And we were spending way too much time jumping through hoops with these fraudulent orders, and God forbid you ship a $7,000 brake kit and it's fraud.
Yeah.
You're out $7,000. So we just removed them because we found it wasn't really helping our customers. But we still sell them through the service department. So if you really want something, let us know, and we can help with that. Do your new 18-inch wheels fit with the stock brakes on a RS3 8V? No, absolutely.
Yep.
So the ZTF wheel for the RS3, which is an 18 by 9.3, that is designed to fit on a stock factory car, and actually those brakes even fit on the Brembo upgrade.
The wheels, the wheels fit over the Brembos too.
The wheels fit over that brake kit as well. So that's the beauty of our wheel. It's specifically for the RS3, so you don't even have to ask these kind of questions. Yeah. You just know it's for the RS3, as opposed to going out and finding some wheel and hoping that the spoke profile will clear the brakes. Yep. We specialize in the RS3 and the TTRS and all these Audis.
Yep.
So when you buy the wheel from us, it's been developed and tested for these cars. We didn't take a a Lexus wheel and change the offset and change the bowl pattern to fit on an Audi. That's what a lot of companies are doing.
Yep.
Must-have upgrades for S3 MQB.
If
Man,
you're going,
this is a tough one.
Yeah, if you're going straight from stock, we got all kinds of stuff for that.
We have an entire catalog. So first off, if you haven't, go to our website, put your year, make, model in for an S3, and then you'll see only the products that apply. But I think I think everyone would agree a Flash.
Yeah, ECU, TCU, Flash. And
if you want to go stage 1 is a huge upgrade. You can go stage 2 with our downpipe, and that's a big up.
We've got all kinds of stepping stones for that car.
We even have our R460 turbo kit, which really opens up the top end power band from kind of the 5,000 to Redline. There's a nice bump in power with that turbo kit with really a lot of additional lag.
I'd say Flash, and then start looking at what do you want out of the car? Are you you carving the corners? I'd say sway bars, suspension stuff.
Sway bars, our springs, all of our inserts.
The inserts really help lock everything down.
Have a benefit.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd say springs, sway bars, inserts,
tune,
and
the tune, intercooler.
We have a ResX for that, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on an exhaust.
Yeah, those sound really good with just the ResX.
They do. It's a real nice setup. And our downpipe, our ResX, all that stuff's designed to work together. So, go look up our European car Grand Prix win with our in-house S3. That was just all of our in-house products put on that.
Straight off the catalog.
Yeah. So, someone asks, currently running an APR tune on my B8.5 S4, looking to switch companies for my tuning options. Do you offer a discount program to switch over to 034? We do have a tuning, what we'll call upgrade program.
Yep.
So feel free to shoot an email to tuning@034motorsport.com. We'd love to get you into our tune. Keep in mind, it's not, we could definitely offer you a cost savings since you've already spent money on a tune. However, we have so many people switching over to our tuning simply, the smiles per miles is far outweighs the difference in the price. So being able to get the state of the art tune with all the cutting edge new features, you're going to benefit from all that. The drivability, the smoothness. On our customer group, we have one of our customers just flashed his car stage 2 with our tune and was like pulling on an LS3 Corvette that with modifications and stuff. So it's fun to see what customers are doing with the tunes, and we love being a part of that. Is that a 3.0T engine cover? Yes. So this is a new product we're getting ready to release. So these are carbon fiber covers. I don't know if Nick, you want to hand model these?
They're overlays for your stock covers.
We won't be offering the factory cover itself, so you'll just use yours. But we have carbon fiber covers that attach with double-sided 3M automotive grade adhesive tape, and these are form-fitting. They fit perfectly. These, frankly, are molded to the shape of the cover, so even if there wasn't any tape, they would still stay in place just based on how well they grab and form onto the cover. So we are pending release of these hopefully this week, very soon, and looking forward to getting these out there in you guys' hands. And as always, we'll price them at an everyday good price.
Yep.
All right. Crackle more crackle talk
it's just
here.
Feedback. We'll deal with that.
Crackles would be okay if it was only above, say, 3,000. The part I don't like is where I live. They give fix tickets for sound.
Yeah, we've been
crackles.
seeing more of that. They're putting up mics around towns.
At 800 RPM, sounds like backfires on the last crackle tune I ran.
So you want more crackles but less crackles. Got it. We can certainly soften
This
it
is
around
a concern.
the low RPM stuff.
Turn off sport mode, right?
No, on the B it's
or I guess you have to do a different flash.
It's a different program on most of them. So yeah, we'll be revisiting the crackles for those that want
it. Any transmission inserts for the 6-speed manual transmission B8? Bro, like we literally invented this.
Yeah.
So we were the first to do the transmission insert for the B8. It was our first insert product at 034 Motorsport. So yes, it's definitely on our website. We've sold a gajillion of them.
Yeah.
That's we even offer insert packages that comes with the transmission insert with diff and other inserts that we offer. So Nate's, are you going to post it or?
No, I
okay.
want to see if it was.
Just go on our website and put in B8 insert, and it'll come right up. So great products, incredible feedback. I mean, how many reviews is it?
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to make sure our website was clear that it does fit all transmissions. It fits all transmissions. How many reviews? It was
33 5-star reviews. You know, it's a very well regarded product. So, can you explain what your process is for buying a tune from you guys with a B5 S4?
B5 S4 is kind of in flux right now. We're changing the way those are getting flashed. Eventually, we're going to be doing a more formalized flash at home option for those as well.
Yeah.
Right now, the quickest way for us to get you set up is just to send these to you here. We can get you loaded up and get it back to you.
Yeah. So we have a constant stream of B5 S4 ECUs coming in. You can work with our customer service team. You get basically an RMA number. You ship it in. We typically turn those around in like 1 day.
Try and get them turned around in a day or two. It's right now it's tricky because of all the, I'm working at home about half the time, and it depends, so some office hour stuff. But yeah, we try and get them turned around quick if it's something simple.
Yeah. So yes. But you know what? I mean, as long as you can afford for your car to be down for 3 or 4 days, if
you have a B5,
it's not a problem.
Probably.
And our B5 tunes are awesome. Again, we feel strongly that they're the best on the market. So, let's see. What pricing can we expect for the B8 throttle body upgrade kits? We don't have that yet.
Nope.
But
yeah,
I think it will be.
It'll be competitive.
Very competitive.
We don't want to speculate before it's done, so we're not beholden to the number we either.
We're still working on sourcing the casting company to do it and all that stuff. So, but yes, again, whenever we release a product, we have to look and see what everyone else is selling it for as well. Actually, that's kind of part of our product engineering process is, when we evaluate the feasibility of a product, if we as a company don't think that we can bring it to market with a competitive price, then, we're not going to go for that product. But there's no reason that we can't do something for as cheap as anyone else in the industry. We have incredibly good vendors and sourcing and supply chain. We have as good as anyone or even better. So we're always able to find good suppliers and bring products to market at a competitive price. We don't always bring products to market that are the cheapest. So we're usually up more in the more expensive range, simply because we want to bring the premium, option to the market, and we can't bring premium products to market at cheap prices. So,
yeah, and it's not just it's not like we're making more money per se. We're offering better support.
No, it's more expensive.
Inventory, more. We're
the reason
there's a lot more that goes into it on this end.
The price is higher is because it's costing us more to do it. However, we feel that it's a worthwhile compromise on price.
If we can save any hassle, headache, or experience on your end, then it's worth it.
Yeah. Can the 034 ECU and TCU tunes be flashed right over the APR tunes?
We've actually had a couple of these this round. You don't need to go back to an APR dealer or any other dealer to switch to our tuning.
Flash right over that.
If there's anything weird, what you can do is just flash the stock file from our server, which we always have up there. So you can flash back to stock with our software first, and that's 100% stock flash, and then load up our performance stuff if you need to. We've got there's some tuners that like to change part numbers in the ECU and revisions to things that don't exist. So there's sometimes some hoops we have to jump through, but we can always get you sorted out and get it fixed back the way it should be.
Cool.
That's the only weirdness we see from time to time when switching. Yeah.
What does switching to dynamic motor sport mode do with the tune on the B8s?
Actually, primarily, you're gonna notice DSG shifting changes.
Mm-hmm.
On the ECU side, we actually deliberately make it do less than the factory from a change standpoint. The factory kind of kills your throttle resolution in sport mode, and makes it much more of a ridiculous switch versus a throttle.
Yeah, it honestly is just
and
on and off, more of like
it's
an
way more on
switch.
and off. And then with our tune, because there's so much more power you're making, you've got even less resolution to drive around town and or to manipulate the throttle around a track. So we actually remap the throttle quite a bit in both drive and sport. And it's the same in drive and sport with our tunes.
Unfortunately, what Audi does and many companies, automotive manufacturers do, is they kind of create this sensation of faster acceleration by changing the throttle mapping. So when you go into sport, where normally your foot might have to go 2 inches, now it only has to go 3/4 of an inch to get the same accelerated effort. That to us is a gimmick. And so we strip that gimmick out. Like, you're a big boy. If you want to go faster, you push your foot down
all the way
harder,
down.
right? But you may not want to go full throttle. You may want to just add 5% more throttle or 8% more throttle.
Yeah,
And so that's where when it comes to driving, being able to control the car means being able to control the throttle, which controls the power that is coming out of the engine.
Yeah, and I mean,
when you lose resolution to that, you lose your ability to control the car.
To put it in perspective, we're almost doubling the power output on these motors.
Yeah.
And you put it in sport, you're having your throttle resolution from the factory.
Yeah.
Well, our power output with a full throttle, with full pedal travel, you're getting that same amount of stock power at half pedal anyway.
It would be like
now.
undrivable.
And then you've got all the more power, the further you go with the throttle. So,
but we trust you guys are able to
push the pedal all the way down.
Tell the ECU how much to accelerate using your foot. And so we don't need to trick it. There's a product out there called a Sprint Booster, which is a total piece of crap, but it's this thing you plug in to your pedal, and it tweaks the signal, and it basically reduces the resolution of the signal so that the ECU opens the throttle faster. It doesn't make your car faster.
It doesn't open the throttle faster.
It doesn't change anything.
It opens it more for a given amount of pedaling.
Exactly.
So,
it remaps the the voltage going through that sensor. So, but yeah, I mean, some of the other sport, features still function.
Oh yeah. You'll most of it's going to be in the DSG. You'll feel it in the DSG and the shifting. Strategies.
A really bad one with that is the factory E46 BMW, which is an ITB, really cool ITB setup from the factory. But you go into sport mode, the car's like barely drivable. Like, it's just like, and there's no like middle throttle range at all.
You've got this much pedal travel, and then everything else is the same. It's ridiculous.
And it sucks because you go into sport mode, and some things would change for the better.
You get some things you want,
but the most important thing, throttle control, would get all screwed up. So you just end up driving in normal mode.
And a lot of this comes back from when we drive these cars on track.
This is really important.
Is being able to control the throttle, mid corner when you want 60, 50, 70% throttle.
Yeah,
that's really hard to do on some OEM tuning strategies.
Yes. A lot of questions today, so thank you guys. How's the new B8.5 tune coming along?
That's all those two-step stuff.
We talked about in the beginning. Yep. We're working on it. TikTok for the time being.
I'm trying to get it out to you as quick as we can.
For stage 2 single pulley, which is better, supercharger pulley and crank, and why?
Or crank. They're the same. I mean, we're talking pulley ratios here. I would say probably a more future-proof one would be to do the crank pulley first, because that gets rid of one of the failure points on the B8.
Yeah,
the stock ones can shear, and there's been a number of people that have had issues. And it's lighter, so you kind of get a little less rotating mass as well, for the same upgrade. But as far as a horsepower number, they're identical. As long as your pulley ratios are the same.
Yeah, the top pulley's maybe a little easier to do.
No, I'd say it's actually a little harder. Okay. Because you need a little. The top pulley's a press fit, so you've got to get the tool and stuff to pull it off, and you've got to have an oven to heat it up. The new one to go on.
We're selling so many crank pulleys right now; it's crazy. So definitely, I agree with Nate. The crank pulley I would do initially.
Yep.
As long as the ratio is the same, it doesn't matter. The supercharger is going to spin the same speed.
Yep.
How are tune updates being sent out if I already have your tune?
They hit the server, and you can flash them anytime you want.
So we just update the server, and then we'll make announcements on social media. We'll talk about it here.
Yeah, there's some iterative stuff that
you're working on.
Yeah, that doesn't get like broadcast out, but generally we're trying to get better about being more.
But if you just log into your accounts once a week, you'll be able to see if there's any new files.
You'll see what you have, and then you can also select what's on there, so you can see if it's new or not.
Also, join our customer group on Facebook, and that kind of stuff is discuss there as well. Can you explain what happens when adding a larger diameter charge pipe kit? What does that do for a motor in various stages, and when would it make sense? Ooh, good question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we like to talk about snake oil and products that don't matter or don't do anything. This is potentially one of those products. So, there's a lot of companies that make larger intercooler piping kits. We offer several products like that as well. So generally, these products, could have a performance or power increase, but they don't always, and sometimes they could have an adverse effect. So one thing that happens is as air comes out of the turbo, it's pressurized, but it's also very hot because when you compress air, it heats up. And so if you take a look at like a factory MQB turbo outlet pipe, the pipe starts at the turbo and it's the same size as the turbo outlet, but it gently flares up over several feet as it goes into the intercooler. And so that allows a nice expansion of this pressurized heated air to come out of the turbo, which really keeps the velocity of the flow up. And something that's critical to air moving through a pipe is velocity. So if you just put a big pipe with a big step there, that pressurized air comes out, hits that bigger volume, and it slows down. And that's not what you want in that type of flowing dynamic. So we actually looked seriously into the turbo outlet for the MQB, and we could not justify doing anything better than what the factory had done
For what it would take.
for the effort and the expense. Now, if you put a 900 horsepower turbo on that car, certainly that's going to be a huge restriction, and you're going to have to redo all that piping, and you're going to want something like a 3-inch pipe versus the, it's probably like 1.5 to 1 3/4 inches factory. But you'll even see this, on really highly developed race cars, on the older Audi race cars, on F1 cars. If you look at,
if you want to look, where
a lot of
you're not going to find a lot of snake oil.
WRC cars.
Look at these factory developed cars,
and you'll see some really small pipes on some of these cars, and it's shocking that's what they chose to go with. But that's for a reason. So. For any given flow situation, you want to maintain pressure and velocity of the air flowing through it. So you have to be skeptical. I mean, there's just a lot of bad products on the market when it comes to that. Generally, if you're considering buying a product like that, I would at least look for some legitimate dyno verifications. If they're just telling you plus 15 horsepower,
or even better, is
probably
try and
BS.
find like pressure drop data.
Yeah, if they can show you flow data,
a little less. With a little fewer variables that kind of add into it. So
and
a product like that, you got to isolate it down to what it's actually doing, which would be in that case easiest to measure with like a pressure drop or a temperature, series of temperature.
Worst case, ask them. Ask what data or evidence they have, and good luck with what you get. So, here's a good question: who would win in an arm wrestling match, Javad or Chris Green? I don't know.
Nick.
Who's younger?
I'm gonna go with Chris.
I think I'm too old.
Yeah,
maybe Chris would win. Plus, I don't think I do enough like pre-workout and that kind of stuff. So, but maybe not. If I ever see Chris Green again, which it would be great, but who knows with coronavirus? But maybe we could do an arm wrestling match and find out. I have an APR Ultra charger installed, and I thought I remember you mentioning in a previous stream that you recommend repinning the adapter for certain throttle bodies. Is the APR throttle body one that you were referring to, and do you have a wiring kit that you would recommend?
Yeah, so generally, yes, I do recommend repinning that adapter harness so that it gets it back to a more factory-like control. We can give you instructions on how to do that. We are going to have adapter harnesses ourselves that take care of that for you.
Are we gonna have any hot dogs or sausages?
No, I have the harnesses on my desk right now.
That's too bad.
We do recommend repinning it for basically any throttle body that's out there. We've supported the Ultra Charger style for a while now, but it's becoming more of a headache to deal with than it's kind of worth because it's so fussy to do it the way they did it. We've got guys where it's working fine and the exact same file, the exact same ECU, everything is nothing but problems for another guy. So it's just a pretty hacked way to do it. We're probably going to start steering more away from that just so it's less trouble up front for you than repinning a little harness.
Best air filter for Stage 2 Audi TTS. Well, I'm going to recommend our X34 intake.
Yeah, I'm not
for
sure
the
which
MQB.
TTS they're talking about, but
Yeah,
if it's MQB gen, for sure.
Yeah. So ours, you can go see the dyno charts and the power gains, and we've done the flow testing on it. And it is we offer an enclosed and an open top version. The open top's a little bit louder, but that's certainly what we would recommend. Yes. Are there adverse effects to removing the oil screens for the turbos on the 4.0T V8s? Well, there's an adverse effect to leaving them, which is often blown turbos.
It's a tricky one because you can either really keep up on the maintenance of them and make sure they're clean and replace or flush
But
them
it's
as
kind of a
needed.
big job to get in there.
Yeah.
A better option is to upgrade to something like the JHM line kit.
Yeah, they give you
and so there's
remote filter
external remote filters. Frankly, I don't know why Audi put filters there. It doesn't seem necessary. Virtually none of their other cars have turbo filters in the oil feed lines.
At least not at that location like that. Yeah.
We have designed and installed many turbo kits.
Well, yeah, and it's not like it's
filter in line.
It's not like it's coming straight off the oil pump, going to the turbos, then going to the oil filter.
No,
it's
filtered oil
so
going to the turbo.
It's kind of one of those things. It's probably a catch the things right after manufacture kind of affair.
Yeah, like I said, there's
probably
probably a reason.
Issue.
I'm sure there's a reason they did it, but so definitely address that though if you haven't, because the factory ones are very problematic. Yeah. Will you ever offer a brake kit upgrade for the rear S4 B8, which is multi-pot and keeps the parking brake? Not something that we've discussed or looked into. Frankly, those cars do not need more rear brakes.
They need a lot more front brake.
They need a ton of front brakes, and they have plenty of rear brake.
Yep.
So
if anything, I'd say they're very mismatched from a factory braking standpoint.
There's already too much
with
rear
brake. So
it would certainly look cool. We're not really into products that only look cool unless you're talking about covers, which kind of support the rest of the.
Yeah, I mean the
mods.
The brakes on my B8 were the front brakes were on fire at Laguna Seca. The rears were a very normal temp, and I mean, I wouldn't say I needed more rear brake at all. I needed a lot more.
Yeah, so definitely upgrade your fronts, work on that. Frankly, if you can put some ducting in and get air to the front brakes, that's even better. Along with upgrading. So, can please cover B9 RS5 topic? Ignis wants an intake and downpipe update. Okay, well,
the intake stuff.
We are coming out with both of those. So stay tuned a little bit longer.
Yep.
They're both in manufacturing. They're
those are really close.
The intake and the high flow cats are being built, and we will release them once they've gone through our process. So definitely hang tight. We got you, Ignis.
Yep.
Let's see. Any plans to increase power on 3.0T engines with upgraded superchargers or custom turbo setups?
We've gone back and forth with this a lot.
First, I'd love to see someone go faster than we have with an upgraded supercharger.
With an upgraded supercharger? Yeah, that hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened because the big problem is there's not enough intercooling.
Yeah, it's tough to keep everything cool. You're also basically it's really nice that we're able to use all of the factory fueling and all of the flow we can out of the injectors and the pumps, and basically it all kind of peaks at the same point with the factory charger as well. So to go beyond that, you're looking at a lot more than just a supercharger.
It's possible. For a while we were talking about doing like a single turbo kit for the B8s, and now seeing what we've seen, there's just no way that would be faster.
They can be faster, but it's
going to be
the cost to do it
so expensive and difficult to do. And the B8, the stock supercharger head units, so good for this car.
Yeah, I mean, I know like
the throttle response you get.
Oleg's running some good times with his. I think he's faster, but not quicker right now in the quarter. So. I mean, you can make good power with them, but
you can certainly make a lot of power with it.
He's done a lot of work with it. To replicate that into something that's product, it would not be cheap.
Well, and we're not talking about a custom one-off. I mean, you can customize anything, but for us to be able to sell a kit that would be affordable, that would that's what we're talking about.
Now, if you've got stuff, we can probably do larger supercharger tunes. If you came to us with something that's not
there's
that's
people
not out
that
of the
want
realm.
to do that. I mean, I've gotten some emails recently.
We can certainly do that. That wouldn't be too much work.
Yeah.
But,
and who knows, what the future holds. As we expand our engineering
right.
capabilities, we can do more stuff like that. But right now, it's like, well, do you guys want B9 or that?
Well, and the number,
and the number of people that would want that is way lower.
The cost of those kits gets pretty prohibitive quickly.
Okay, we're getting down about 5 minutes. I'm running water meth on my B8S4 on a stage 2+. Can you tweak the tune to better support that, or what do you recommend?
If you really want, we've done a couple of more meth heavy files. It depends on how much you're injecting, and that's one of the things I don't usually like doing that because you're relying on this secondary system outside of the ECU's control. So it puts a lot more burden on making sure that meth system is 100% working all the time.
Yeah.
Which it's not something that often happens when we see those kits come through here. There's almost always a leak somewhere or some compromise somewhere in the meth kit.
Yeah.
So it's tough to put more and more dependence on it. But we've offered them from time to time on the B8s.
Yeah. There's one that just said, B8 2.0T ECU and TCU. That's definitely in the works. We don't have a date yet, but we were actually just talking.
We were just talking about this last week. Yep.
But again, with the expansion of our engineering team, we will definitely
more of that stuff's going to get knocked off the list.
More of that, yeah. What catch can do you recommend for a Mark V R32 turbo setup? I don't believe we ever did. We run one?
I never did.
I never had one on our car.
Yeah.
Generally, I'll just talk for a minute. With a catch can, you want it to be as big as possible, and you want the air coming out of the crankcase to go into it, and then you want any kind of oil, water, or solids that enter the can to drop down into the can, and then you want some type of baffled outlet to the can. So whatever comes into that and splashes around has no direct path to go out of the can. And then you want to drain that back to your oil pan so that the can never fills up.
Yeah, the drain is key because there's guys that'll do these huge cans and then they have to drain it every few
wanna
months, and
empty
you got
it.
2 quarts of oil in there that's supposed to be in your motor.
If you're on track, you may have to empty it
every
halfway
session.
through your session.
Yeah.
It can be bad depending on the car. So we offer a universal vortex catch can that would work well. That's on our website.
Yep.
And you can install that. It has 1-inch
provisions.
Provisions on that. So that's what I would do if I were you. I would just get our vortex catch can, and you can get heater core hoses that are 1-inch diameter. You
Make
can go
sure
to
they're
the
oil
hardware
safe.
store.
Some of those are.
I've never had trouble with radiator hoses.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And you can go to Pep Boys or Kragen or whatever, O'Reilly's now.
Whatever's
And
out there now.
if they'll let you in the back, you can kind of mess with some of the hoses, or you go to a pick and pull, and the world's your oyster there. So,
but we got.
Looks like we got another minute.
Cleaned up here.
No longer do long or spirited drives anymore with my MR6 GTI. Is a catch can a good idea to slow carbon deposits down?
I mean, it keeps some of that oil out of your intake. So
generally though, if you're not doing a lot of high G-force turning or a lot of hard acceleration, then you shouldn't really need a catch can.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. Spirited driving it's not too specific, so it may be a good idea.
Yeah.
Will you be offering any front brake cooling duct kits for the S4 B8s? We've definitely looked at it and talked about it.
There's so many iterations we would have to do between the different bumpers and the different.
I don't think we have plans to do it, but it's one of those products. It's a great product, and frankly, every tracked B8 needs it. So, okay, guys, thank you. We're gonna start wrapping up because we're coming up on the
the cutoff here.
So thanks again for joining us. We'll be back. Next week. Oh, we got to talk about that. Actually, Monday. No, we'll be back next week as long as we do it Monday. So thanks again. As always, send your questions in throughout the week if you'd like, and we'll document them.
Yep.
And we really appreciate having this time with you guys.
All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
See you next week.